The Brotherhood of Steel thought they won. They did it. They fought and got the Purifier. However, what they didn't know was the Lone Wanderer wasn't working for them. You see, the Lone Wanderer poisoned it with FAV, a new strand of it that would destroy any wastelander who drank the water. As the entire river was poisoned, the capital wasteland became truly a wasteland. Everyone who bordered the river, everyone who drank from it, everyone who got purified water from it, died. Mass hysteria and extermination spread across the land, as it was all John Henry Eden's plan. After this massive death, there were still some people alive in the capital wasteland, people far from the river. However, they were few and far between. As most of the wastelanders were wiped out, there were people far away enough for the river for them to survive. A lot of them had water sources into the river that they purified on their own, so they still got poisoned. However, there was a big portion of them that didn't. So, the Wanderer got a message on the radio. It was from John Henry Eden. He would say, "Wanderer, report back to Red Rock Canyon. I have an assignment for you." As the Wanderer would go to John Henry Eden, he would begin to talk to him. He would tell him this: "I see what you did. It was great for you to side with us. And Colonel Autumn is no more. Many of our forces are gone. So I had an idea. We will recruit Vault Dwellers, since they are still completely human. However, for us to do this, the capital wasteland must be completely wiped out. I'll send you through a few robots and even a few of our fine soldiers that survived. Your job is to wipe them out. Don't worry. By my calculations, 98% of them have already perished. You only need to wipe out the 3%. And if you find any vaults on the way, explore them. Maybe we can find some people to join the Enclave." And the Lone Wanderer would agree, as they went on a crusade to wipe out what was left. John Henry Eden already marked the locations that were left. The Wanderer found and destroyed them. Most of them. There were a few that John Henry Eden missed, but the Wanderer was able to find them and wipe them out, like Camp Lamplight, a bunch of little misguided kids who let the Wanderer in, believing they would help them, not knowing that they spelled their end the moment the Wanderer came in their doors, as the Enclave wiped them out. The Enclave also got Mr. Handy and many other robots across the wasteland to join them. John Henry Eden didn't mind getting pre-war robots, considering that he himself was one. After gathering all this team, and even getting a few Vault Dwellers to join them, President John Henry Eden knew it was time. He demanded the Wanderer became his second-in-command, his right-hand man, as then they got up a force and went straight to River City, taking it over. President John Henry Eden wanted to turn the ship into a full-on military base and make it so he was able to use it once again. If he was able to use this military ship, he can go across the river and begin to cleanse the land and build a coastal United States before taking over the entire country. As this was the Enclave's plan, to take over the entire country and to rule it. However, the Enclave was going to have some major issues, as they were taking over place by place and colonizing the wasteland. Eventually, they managed to totally take over Washington and all of the land surrounding it. The Enclave became a major force. However, the Brotherhood heard of this back on the West Coast, and so did the Enclave's enemies. However, the Brotherhood was mostly destroyed, and sending more forces to the West Coast would be risky. And they were completely bogged down by the NCR, so they wouldn't be able to do anything. So since the NCR completely bogged down the Brotherhood of Steel, they were unable to help in any meaningful way. However, there was another enemy, the Institute. The Institute lied down in secret. As the Brotherhood continued to expand, they would eventually take over much of the state of New York, and even Boston and other areas across the country. However, the Institute heard about them and were very wary of them. They were stuck underground. Most of the inhabitants were destroyed by the Enclave, as they laid settlement there. Led by the Lone Wanderer, The Enclave was worried of this place because they couldn't find the owner of the classic radio station. All the other radio stations were destroyed, but this radio station stayed on no matter what. They were curious and tried to find it, but no matter how hard they looked, they just couldn't do it. As the radio station stayed open, the Enclave began the search and get closer and closer to finding the Institute. However, the Institute was starting to get desperate and replace Enclave soldiers with synths. Over time, as they built out an army, it was finally time for them to strike. One day, the lone survivor was inspecting the Commonwealth. As the Enclave discovered how to spread out these poison FAVs, putting them in rivers all across the country, or what used to be the country. As life was dying everywhere, vault dwellers were forced to join the Enclave, as the Enclave kept expanding more and more. However, the Institute were becoming scared, and they knew the only way to defeat them was to launch an attack. So as the attack happened, Enclave soldiers turned on their brothers and sisters and shot them down, like some Fallout Order 66. As a lone wanderer was one of them, shot in the head and thrown out into the river. But if you know Fallout, being shot in the head doesn't really do anything. As a lone wanderer got out of the river, he looked at the carnage, his soldiers laying down. As then he heard a radio broadcast. It was John Henry Eden himself. There was an attack at the base. The Enclave decided to try to go after the source of the classic radio broadcast, and were about to figure out what it was. So the Institute had to strike first. So the lone wanderer got into a vertibird, taking it down from enemy Enclave soldiers. No one knew who was their friend and who wasn't, so to be safe, the wanderer slaughtered all those in a vertibird, even those who begged and pleaded that they were on his side. They could have been trying to trick him. So after taking it, he quickly traveled to John Henry Eden's location. It was being defended by robots and armed security. However, the synths and coursers were able to push their way through. The Institute needed John Henry Eden destroyed. The Wanderer got into the facility and began to fight through synths and even coursers. The lone Wanderer was a beast, a force to be reckoned with, and the Institute couldn't handle him. As he made it to John Henry Eden would explain everything. John Henry Eden would say, "More of them are coming, just leave me." But the lone wanderer would look up at John Henry Eden and begin to ask, but I can't. Mr. President, we built this together. I know, and I'm proud of you, but I have realized something. My time has come. Technology run amok, about to destroy me. Ironic considering what I am, isn't it? However, I had an idea. What if all these sins can help serve America? What if these sins can be considered American citizens? It could be beautiful. So I decided to take over the Institute and have them serve us. You see, these synths aren't human. And he'll go on this giant dialogue, but the enemy wouldn't show up because of Fallout logic. President John Henry Eden would then tell him this: I need you to go into the Institute, above them, right above their location, and I need you to place this device. It will hack into their radio station and make all Gen 2 and Gen 1 synths attack the Institute and try to destroy it. Once they attack, they will get rid of everything and reprogram even the Gen 3 synths to follow them. Even with the coursers and more advanced synths, they won't be able to take them out. Gen 1 and Gen 2 are the most popular. Even if the Institute has lots of Gen 3s, they won't be able to stop this assault. They will all teleport there and attack full force, taking it over. All I need you to do is make it there. The Institute doesn't know about my plan, but they know I'm sending you over there, so they will have a large force. Please, take my squadron of the most loyal troops that I know aren't synths. The lone wanderer would nod, as he would take an elite squadron of 20 people. As they all had power armor and were the best of the best, they flew on a vertibird and jumped off, as then they began to run to the Institute. Many Synth 1, Synth 3, and coursers were there, with other Enclave soldiers that they took over. As they began to battle, many Enclave loyalists found them and fought on. The lone wanderer pushed through. After ambush, after traps, they kept pushing through, trying to get to above the Institute. Luckily, John Henry Eden was able to locate the location, tracking the radio signals. As they managed to reach, the lone wanderer managed to put down his device, and this hacked into the radio signal. You see, the Institute used the radio signal to control all of the synths, but this would backfire, as suddenly all the Gen 1 and Gen 2 synths automatically turned on the Institute. The reason Gen 3s didn't was because they had a backup system to stop that. However, the Institute began to tear itself apart, as suddenly synths out of nowhere teleported and launched a massive attack. Coursers and other synths were pulled back, but it was too late. The attack was already on board, and they were quickly getting overwhelmed. It seems they did it. With the Institute destroyed, it would take a couple days to set up teleportation between normal Enclave members, and about half the Enclave was wiped out, and their president John Henry Eden was destroyed. For their victory, the Lone Wanderer was made the leader of the Enclave, as their new mission was to spread across the United States and to build multiple quote-unquote institutes, synth factories, to rebuild America. It seems that the human race was evolving under the American dream, and they both became one. And that is where we're going to leave things off. Even though the landscape changed, the Enclave would still be at war with the rest of the wasteland, because war never changes. And that is my story. I hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video down in the comments below. Peace out.